So the X-Men line of comics have been introducing tons of great new series as part of their Destiny of X initiative. Previously over on the channel, we covered books like Immortal X-Men and X-Men Red. Today, it's time for Marvel's newest series, Legion of X. Legion of X is Marvel's psychic X-Men mutant series, all about the psychic threats lurking on the inner workings of Krakoa, and I wanted to give you the lowdown on Legion of X #1 today. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it. Legion of X is written by Simon Spurrier. Spurrier has had some excellent comics over the years at Marvel. Two of my favorite Spurrier books, which actually tie into Legion of X directly, include X Club and X-Men Legacy. X-Men Legacy in particular is really interesting because it introduced some of Spurrier's work with David Haller. David Haller is a mutant who is now living on Krakoa. Also, he is the son of Charles Xavier and the star of the hit show Legion on FX, which sadly only lasted a couple seasons. RIP. The good news, though, is that if you've invested any time into Legion or any of these previous X-Men comics, Legion of X is almost like a pseudo-series to that show because it introduced even more sci-fi concepts and characters that are just so interesting. I want to put a quick asterisk here because I haven't read every single work that Spurrier has written, and if you're aware of any other ties to Legion of X from Spurrier's past works that I missed, do let me know. So Legion of X is a sequel series to Marvel's Way of X. Way of X was essentially Nightcrawler trying to find a new religion for Krakoa. This issue was followed up with X-Men The Onslaught Revelation. That one shot was drawn by Robert or Bob Quinn, as well as the majority of Way of X. Let's move into the creative team here. I've already covered that Spurrier is writing the series. We have Jan Biswalda illustrating the comic book, colors from Federico Blee, letters by VC's Clayton Cowles, designed by Tom Muller and Jay Bowen, with the cover illustrated by Dyke Ruan and Matthew Wilson. Next up, I wanted to talk a little bit about Way of X. Going forward, in order to really substantially get into at least setting up Legion of X, I am going to have to spoil a few things. I want to encourage you, if you haven't, to go ahead and go back, read Way of X, tune back into the channel so I can kind of recap and get you ready for Legion of X. This is a really dense comic book. Some additional research is really going to help you diving into some of these pages. So let me go ahead and spoil Way of X. Okay, now with that out of the way, I'm going to get right into spoiling the last couple issues of Way of X. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the Spark. The Spark is the mission statement, the inspiration behind the altar and everything going on currently in Legion of X. It's a little hard for me to explain because it's not formally put into words. I am going to use the words of Kevin Erdman from Screen Rant to try and decode what this spark is a little more clearly for you. Erdman writes, "The spark, a new way of life that makes mutants less vulnerable to the psychological deprivations of their newfound immortality. However, this new spark needs to be protected, and Nightcrawler intends to form a new team to do just that." So you can almost interpret this entire issue as an important piece to making sure that Krakoa's psychological foundation is secure. If you look at some of the fringe titles in Krakoa, we have started to see the acceleration of threats, which is a very common theme that Way of X and Legion of X explore. It's all about, what are the skeletons in the closet, and what are the psychic premonitions that no team on Krakoa is dealing with. That, these sorts of things just come out, when you have this many supernatural people together in this really tiny, closed off space. So Legion of X introduces a lot of nuance and a lot of subtlety using this spark. And, our team, our cast members, use the spark in order to make the altar, which is essentially kind of a clubhouse in David Haller's mind where, the team makes plans on how they can keep, the psychic world of Krakoa more secure. So in that way, Legion of X is just sort of expanding on some of those themes in Way of X. And everything in this book kind of expands on some of those central concepts. It's helpful to have somebody kind of lay it out and explain some of these inner workings to you. So in this issue, one of the main threats that the team is going up against is the mysterious Skinjacker. The Skinjacker possesses mutants in Krakoa for a short period, and they're kind of unaware of what they're doing at this time. So that was a really interesting kind of setup for the series. The series it starts to explore some of those ideas, but doesn't quite have the time to flesh them out yet. And I assume that this is still to come over in future issues of the series. One of the best ways that this issue actually intersects with the greater line of Destiny of X is that we see David Haller directly interact with the Quiet Council. Having him interact with the Quiet Council reinforces some of the themes that were introduced in Inferno and tells us that Legion of X does not take place on an island. It does take place on the altar, but it will not, be isolated in terms of continuity. We've already seen David Haller pop up on other X-Men books. Professor Xavier is going to be unable to ignore his son going forward, and all of this, definitely will be important. And it does seem like we may be leading to the return of Onslaught, who is teased in that one shot. So there's definitely big things to come here. The end of the issue features a really interesting, new exploration of these themes. And lastly, before we go, I want to make sure I touched on Jan Balzueta's excellent artwork here. My apologies if I pronounced the name incorrectly. However, you have to see some of this art. It just looks gorgeous. The new character in the issue looks incredible with the design. I love those beautiful colors. The intro sequence featuring, David interacting with the altar had just a really interesting color palette from Federico Blee that really made this issue kind of stand out, even among some of the other Destiny of X books that are currently in this line of comics. So again, there's just some really exceptional work here. Also, just trying to illustrate some of those wild concepts that are deeply rooted, in Spurrier's mind. They look gorgeous. Overall, I really love this comic. I can't even picture these books getting better, but they always find a way to do so. And I am just excited to go through these books and really explore this new wave of X-Men comics. I'm going to be making, videos weekly here. Really excited to, keep making content for everybody. Please feel free to follow me. You can follow me directly at Arco Braddock. Thank you guys so much, and I hope you have an amazing week. Go read some great comics, dive deeper into Destiny of X. Check back with me next week. Thanks, guys. Bye.